Nothing else. Everybody's quiet from this point forward. Welcome to Quarantine Grilling. This week is episode 5. I'm Fred Rui. I am actually in the Studio A. I'm inside because we're trying to take it over and actually make sure we can get through an entire broadcast, which would be kind of cool. So the guys are outside in their own respective places. This episode is episode 5. It is called The Grill is Fowl. This was not my idea whatsoever. I keep thinking this is a democracy and all this. But since I'm just the moderator, I have to get overruled on some of these. But here's the good news. I can get anybody back because I control their cameras. I control their sound. I have sound bites. So I'm basically the guy that can make the call here. So without any further delay, I want to bring in our two guys that are going to be cooking for you today. And both of them are actually this week obviously sticking to fowl. So we're going to be going that. So I'd like to bring in both Brian McGee and Jonathan Carney. Come on in, guys. Welcome to the show.
Howdy, howdy.
Good afternoon, Fred. By the way, I like the flames on the quarantine grilling thing. It was excellent. It was very professional. We switched over production, and we obviously got more fire. The problem is I don't know if it actually went live on the actual show or not. So I'll have to go back and see for later. I'm not trying to judge your production value.
Why wouldn't it be?
I'm also trying to get over Brian's Dallas Cowboys hat. I was going to joke around with it. However, I am a closet Cowboys fan, and since I've been quarantined at my family's house up in Maine, for the last 45 straight days, I have gone to bed draped with a Dallas Cowboys blanket.
Man, I can't believe you said that like public knowledge.
Yeah, we're not going to be discussing draft picks, are we? Because I think my Green Bay Packers are about as low as possible. I think they could have randomly picked people and did better. I'm not even sure what happened.
I don't know how they didn't draft a wide receiver.
I don't know. You know what? The only thing I'm going to say in my defense for my Packers, and they're my team no matter what. We were one game away from the Super Bowl with a brand new coach, and we seem to do just fine. So exactly how much did we even really need? So I'm just going to leave it at that. So all right, now let's talk about what we're cooking. Okay, so you guys, you knew the goal this week is the Grill is Fowl, which by the way was not my name and was not Brian's name pick either. So hey, do the math, see who's left in the show if you want to blame somebody for the title. But basically, they're tackling birds this week. So McGee is going to be doing a can theme thing going on here with a beer can chicken plus a little bit of surprise. So if you haven't figured out in the show, by the way, I'm going to point it out for you. Is that basically, Brian tends to be the guy that's like, look, I'm, no BS, I'm cutting to the chase, I'm going to make really good food and simple. Carney is the guy that I think wants to be like at a super fancy restaurant with 1,700 different ingredients. Both of them end up with a really good product, just different ways to do about it. I know that we have one side, we got beer can chicken, and then Carney, I think you're doing like duck l'orange or something, and then you're taking like the extra scrapings and making 16 appetizers out of it or something? What do you guys think? Brian, let's start with you because I know you've got the
yeah. Start with Brian because I go on. I'm already started, by the way.
Yeah, of course. All right, so I'm doing a beer can chicken that I seasoned last night with this place in Lancaster, Texas called Meat Church. I mean, come on. Their Holy Cow seasoning, which is salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, a little bit of cumin, smoked paprika, and then I added garlic, thyme, and oregano. Let it brine overnight. I've got some Shiner Bock in the can underneath. I'm going to smoke this. And then as a surprise, I'm going to do a lot of people, Thanksgiving, they deep fry a turkey. I'm going to deep fry a chicken buffalo style. So the flour has buffalo seasoning with a little bit of ranch mixed in with it. And I brined it last night in buttermilk, sriracha, garlic powder, and a little pickle juice. I tell you, if you've never brined a chicken in pickle juice, you're missing out.
Well, that's a surprise because you weren't coming in with anything extra there. So all right, so let's go over to Jonathan. And Jonathan, what are you cooking over here?
So we've got a couple things going on. We're going to do a Peking duck l'orange, a real classic dish, and keeping with the Long Island theme because Peking ducks are traditionally come from Long Island area in terms of distribution and whatnot. We're going to be making a pumpernickel rye foie gras toast with the insides of the duck. Now, I got the duck, was marinating overnight in orange juice for over 24 hours. Right now, I've already started it because I'm going to be roasting this thing on charcoal, which is going to be unique. One thing I am going to do today that I don't normally do is I'm going to use a temperature probe to double check my temperature here. But right now, I'm stuffing the duck. I put some garlic cloves inside. I did a nice rub on the outside of cumin, sage, and mustard powder. I really like the flavors of that. So I'm going for a really rustic taste on the outside, and we're going to sweeten it with the l'orange sauce, which we'll talk about when I get into that. But right now I'm stuffing the duck with some sage, some thyme, some rosemary. I put garlic cloves in there whole. They are raw. I use raw garlic cloves. I'm also going to stuff some oranges inside of it as well. And I'm going to stuff an entire shallot inside. So she gets some great flavors from it. And we're going to mess around. And that's going to go right on right now I'm going to go right on the oven. Right on the oven. I am roasting, but I'm going to go right onto the grill because we're going to rotate this around a little bit before we leave it to roast on its own before we shut the top. So we are going to give it some charcoal. So I've never done a roasted duck on charcoal before. So this will be an adventure.
So
all right,
it may be a little early for this, but can we talk about your charcoal run here for a second? Because I've got a picture from earlier in the week that this was your charcoal being delivered, I guess, into the back of your truck. Can you talk about this?
So I use quite regularly, obviously, charcoal, and I prefer the Royal Oak lump charcoal. And I buy it throughout the summer, probably 2 to 3 bags a week, because I use it for almost everything. So I went down to my local hardware store, Aubuchon's. I was like sitting there. I said, you know what would make sense? I'm like, why don't I get this on a pallet and then just fill it in my truck? One, it will give me more points for the show. And 2, I won't have to run down to the hardware store every single time I want charcoal. I can just grab it from the back. So yeah, I have a whole pallet of charcoal. Hopefully it'll get me through most of the spring and the quarantine. But yeah, I pulled the trigger on it. I'm not lying. Part of it was because I thought I could maybe get some extra points this week for a victory because I didn't know what Brian was going to show up with, and I know I was doing something fancy, but that doesn't always win.
Here's the difference, Fred. This is how much I use every time I cook. I use one of these. Fill it up, and that's it. He uses 7 bags.
Look, I'm definitely an overkill charcoal person. I get it, and I tend to put more. But Carney, you're in another league. I mean, as far as how much charcoal, like you said, you did like 40 pounds last week or something like that. I mean, what's the point? What's the point?
So, my reasoning behind it is not only do I use a lot of charcoal, but the usability of my charcoal and when I like to cook on it is a very short time frame. I like extreme heat, and I like a lot of flame. I like char on my food. I think it brings a lot of flavors. One of the chefs that kind of inspires me was Francis Mallmann, famous Argentinian chef who does a lot of fire and flames. So I like heat. I like flames. And the more you put on there, the hotter it is, the more intense it is. And I'm putting 40, 50 pounds. We were talking pre-show. When I do tomahawk ribeyes, which we'll do on the show sometime, when I do that, I fill up my barrel with charcoal, and I'll use 60 pounds of charcoal to get it up to as hot as possible. I've actually gotten my lump charcoal before in this barrel that I have here up to about 1,100 degrees. So the hotter the better.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can't argue with that one. Brian, any rebuttal on your side?
With the amount that I use and the type of grill, now he uses a totally different grill. Mine's more focused heat. I can get this over 1,000 degrees if I load it about halfway. But again, it's a smaller area. It's more focused, whereas his is more spread out. So I can understand why he's using so much.
Now, are you talking about like one of the egg type scenarios, egg type grills? So you're basically saying that alone will pay for the price of charcoal. Will pay alone for the grill. I see.
Yes.
Cole said, Jonathan, you're doing basically a $90 steak and $100 worth of charcoal.
Yeah, if you want to know where the money came in on the canned episode, it was definitely the charcoal.
The charcoal.
No kidding.
I'm also using today too. Everything I'm doing, I'm using truffle salt. I want a real rustic taste to it. And so I just hit some more truffle salt on the top of the duck. I'm going to be watching the duck quite a bit right now because there's a lot of flame going up. It's a fatty bird. I also added some fat to the outside of it with the olive oil. So if you look at the camera now, there's a lot of flame going up there. Eventually that flame is going to die down because I'm going to close the lid. But I'm keeping a really close eye on the duck right now, and then I'll start the other dishes after. So what I'm going to do now is start drinking. So I've got some wine lined up today. I've got this new wine actually locally here from Lincoln, Maine. It's called Wood Duck Winery. Smitten is the one that I have. It's blueberry cranberry table wine. And this one's a drier, but it still has a little sweetness to it. But it's bottled and produced here in my hometown of Lincoln, Maine. So Wood Duck Winery, I'm giving this a shot today. Blueberry cranberry table wine.
No canned wine.
I have one can of wine. I have a can of, I'm glad you mentioned that because this is something I need to do. I need to start pickling some shallots. So I'm going to pickle the shallots with rice wine vinegar, and I have a rosé spritzer that I'm going to use to make my pickle with.
All right, Fred, I'm assuming you're keeping points again this week.
I am. Right now, I am drinking a caramelized Diet Pepsi that I actually have in a spritzer type can. So yes, I am keeping points to pick the winner at the end of this week. Last week was I think
water in my Bucky's cup, if that counts.
Bonus points for Bucky's.
Bonus.
I think Jonathan won last week by an extra point or something. Did he not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
All right. So we've got a nice grill cam here this week, though. I've got a really nice little. Here, I can put sizzle sound effects. Here we go. There we go. We got the mic on the duck there, burning up pretty nicely.
So the one thing that you're going to notice here is a lot of fire, and I'm letting it take a lot of fire, and it's going to be really dark on the outside. As soon as that dies down, remember, the reason I'm getting this really dark on the outside is I want that char, and then we're also introducing to it a very, very sweet sauce. The l'orange sauce I'm making is going to be sweet, buttery, and I want the outside of this, since I'm doing it a grilled version, I really want some char that'll absorb that sauce.
That is, I'm not going to lie, I mean, I'm not a huge charring guy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
All right, I do have one more surprise. So the bird that I'm going to deep fry is only going to take like 15 minutes. But I got one more thing I'm going to bring out for some bonus points that's homemade that should put me over the top this week. But we'll see. We'll see.
So what's your aversion to char? Because that's a conversation that does come up from time to time. You're either for char or you're against char.
You know what? Matt just said it in there. He says pure carbon, baby.
Yep.
I think a lot of people confuse char with burnt.
Yes.
Which is
yes.
not.
And look, my dad, when I was a kid, his big thing was to take a steak and slather it in mustard and burn the crap out of it, and he just thought that was burnt. That was not charred. So I like charred if it's done right. I can't say that I've charred a lot of like what Jonathan's doing here with the duck. I mean, all the way across the board and all over it. I mean, to intentionally do it that way, I've never done that, but.
So one thing that I did do, I've taken the duck off now to let the fire die down, and I'm also pickling these shallots I've got going here. And the shallots that I'm pickling, I have a little bit of heat because this is going to be a quick pickle. Pickling, you really need to take a lot of time, but you can do quick pickles by giving a little bit of heat. So I have a little cast iron pan here with the shallots in it that are getting pickled. I'm also going to throw in some basil with it as well. So we'll have pickled basil and shallots. And it's just a slight amount of heat, not a ton of heat, but enough to give it, enough to break it down a little bit so the liquid kind of absorbs into it. I'm also going to throw a little garlic in there. Just throw some garlic, give it some flavor. And this pickled shallot mix I've got going on with the garlic and basil is going to go on top of our foie gras toast, which will be our appetizer today.
Alrighty then. So Brian, let's talk. We had a lot of questions actually in the off week, mostly which blew up on my board, crazy enough, that had to do with the sous vide versus not sous vide, and this isn't necessarily the episode because you chose not to sous vide this week. The beer can chicken. So I've done beer can chicken, and I have not been impressed. So basically, what am I doing wrong? I just didn't think that it did anything. Seemed to be a waste of beer. Now I have found, being from Wisconsin, I've done bratwurst, and we do beer and stuff like that. I have found that the more inexpensive the beer, the better the results on there. Now educate me on beer can chicken, because obviously I've done it, and I'm like, okay, no big deal.
I think if you want the best results, you definitely got to smoke it, because you want the outside getting the smoke, and then the beer is going to keep the moisture on the inside. So you're kind of cooking it inside out, outside in, so to speak. But the main reason you do a beer can is for the moisture, is to keep that chicken moist. So when you cut it open, it's not dry. And I cooked mine to about 165. And then let it rest for about 10 minutes. And when you cut into it, it should just be nothing but moisture. So that beer, plus I'm using grinder pot, so the dark beer will add some flavor to it, but it's not going to add a lot of flavor. It's really there for the moisture factor. It's like if you see people smoking stuff and they have a pan of water underneath it.
Right.
It's really kind of the same effect.
So Scott put in there, so do you brine your chicken prior to doing it?
Yeah, so that one I seasoned last night, left it uncovered in the refrigerator. I put it in the refrigerator last night at 8 o'clock, and I took it out an hour ago. Same with the fried chicken. I brined it, same time, put it in the buttermilk with the seasoning, and took it out about an hour ago and breaded it, and I got it ready.
No, so it's not in there yet, is it? The fried chicken?
It's in there, but it hasn't been dropped. I'm going to drop it because it's only going to take 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Okay, yeah, it's going to take me longer to get to your house, so that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, what are you doing? Where are you? You have
So I got my
whipping up some lobster bisque or something just to get going on this.
You know what? I meant to bring out some prosciutto to snack on because I knew I was going to have some downtime here. Because the sauce I'm putting together is not going to take a long time. When I explain the sauce and the recipe I'm using, it's something people can easily do at home. And then the duck is just a matter of roasting. So while you guys were talking there, I splashed some water on half of my charcoal just to dye it down, and I'm going to put the duck back on that side of the charcoal that's dyed down. And then we're just going to shut the top and let it go for a bit. So it's going to sit there for a while, probably about... we're going to be at the end of the show. I'm going to be dumping the sauce on the top. I am going to baste it a little. Once I get the sauce made, I will baste the duck with some of it. But no, I've got my pickling liquid that I tried. It tastes delicious. I used the rosé champagne with that. And then I've got some rice wine vinegar in there. And the pickling liquid tastes delicious. And the prosciutto that I talked about, coincidentally, my sous chef just delivered it. So I do have something to do here because I'm getting kind of hungry. So I'm going to be eating a little bit of prosciutto. But no, this is kind of a downtime. it's interesting. For me, I like to, obviously I do like to make some culinary dishes that are, a little bit more classic or, a little more involved with different ingredients and whatnot. But just because you do that doesn't mean that they're not simple, they're not easy, and they're not relaxing and enjoyable. So part of today's show for me is to show that you can make a dish like this that seems complex, that really is an actually enjoyable dish, and you can relax while you're doing it.
So when you're done eating, do you want to talk about some of the sponsors of the show? Kind of work that in. Start with Wood Butcher or something like that. I've got a picture of the coaster up right now, which is kind of cool.
So, our sponsors, one close and near and dear to my heart, my good friend Aaron Smith, the Wood Butcher, one of our sponsors. Thank you very much. They're currently working on an online store through Shopify, which will have all their products available in custom orders. If you have your orders in, the Wood Butcher's working on them. He actually stopped by this week at my house and dropped off a new item that they have. This is the Cedar grill cleaner. The reason that he chose Cedar is rot resistant. And it's very light and it's a rather soft wood. So if you're using it on your grill grates, if you look down here at the grill cam, you can see the soft wood works very well and it shapes to your grill. So the brand new Wood Butcher Cedar grill grate cleaner, rot resistant. I just got mine. I like it. I've only used it 2 or 3 times, so it's still getting used to my grill grates. But after I've used it a few more, I think it's going to be excellent. And it holds up very well. It cleans well, which is nice. Since it's wood, you can sand it down a little if you want to, say if it gets a little too dirty or a little too used. But really nice new thing from Wood Butcher.
Very
so
cool.
Thank you for that.
Cool.
What else? Did we acquire any new sponsors this week? What else we got going on?
Well, let's talk about Red Meat Lovers.
We didn't lose anybody.
No,
Did we lose anybody?
We have Red
Thank
Meat Lovers
God.
still. Red Meat Lovers, and we want to talk about them briefly because we also have and you know about this because you sent it to me, which was basically something about a special, and I'm going to bring the special up here in just a second here. They're shipping out a surf and turf meal. So I've got that up on the screen right now. So that's Thursday, April 30th, and they will actually deliver this. Or pickup or delivery? Is this just in their area? Do you have to be in South Florida?
It is. It's for South Florida, and it is a charity thing that they're doing. And they've been doing the Red Meat Lovers Club's done different delivery programs, but this one is for the South Florida listeners. It is pickup delivery. I know that we spoke to Evan, and he's working on some more regional distribution type programs and some shipping things and different things like that. But if you're in South Florida, April 30th, they've got this opportunity coming up. They said if you haven't had a chance to participate in a Red Meat Lovers Club program event, obviously we're going to have to wait a little bit until social distancing allows us to do that. But this is a great way to participate and a great way to give back. And I said Red Meat Lovers Club is obviously a big partner of ours, and it's a no-brainer that we're together in our goal of grilling and cooking and experiencing great cuisine and red meat. But yeah, Red Meat Lovers Club, check it out. I would highly recommend it. By the way, the deal, I'm really jealous during this quarantine. I mean, I'm happy I've been able to cook things I cook, but some of these restaurants are doing some great deals. Like, Capital Grill's been opening up their dry aging cabinets. And I mean, I've had people text me throughout the week, hey man, check this out. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm happy that where I'm at, happy I'm safe, happy I'm healthy. But man, I would kill to be close to some of these food experiences that are going on in some of these areas.
Yeah, there's definitely some really, really good stuff going on right now. Like you said, that the steakhouses they've decided that they've got to sell, and I would say their prices are pretty good. We all have outlets, so we're going to be sharing more with everybody that watches the show as time goes on. But we've all got outlets for some pretty high caliber steaks, so I would say that their prices are pretty fair. They're a little higher than I thought they would be, but a place like Capital Grill, they're in a catch-22 because they can't really sell that steak for exactly what they should sell it for, because then it devalues how much you're paying for that steak when you come into the restaurant. So they're kind of stuck in the middle. But you can definitely get some great, aged tomahawks and things like that out there. Cole said Beatrice Inn is blowing it up with some specials. Yeah, somebody had sent me something up about that today. And
ridiculous.
I put this. Go ahead. It's been amazing.
No, I was going to say Beatrice Inn. Sorry to interrupt, but it just got me going there real quick. It's one of my favorite places in terms of inspiration for food. They just put up, like last week, they sold a 160-day dry-aged Jack Daniel's soaked tomahawk ribeye for like, it was ridiculous. It was just like it was like $100 or something like that. It was insane. And normally if you walk in there, that dish is like $400, $500, $600, $700 for them to put that plating together. So the things that you've seen out there are some wild stuff if you look online. And not even just buying it, looking at it's cool just to see what other people are doing and what restaurants are doing to stay in business and stay productive and relevant is really interesting. So, sorry to interrupt, it just got me going on that one.
No. Actually, Danny reminded me, and I had it coming up here in 5 minutes, but I want to get in here anyway because we had several questions. Is what's everybody smoking right now? What are you guys smoking?
And
we are talking cigars, not
Reserve. Court Reserve, Crown Heads, whole court press.
I'm smoking, coincidentally, Double D. I am smoking the La Serena 10-year Anniversario Especial. It's actually one of my favorite cigars of all time, top 10 cigar of all time. I'm down to like 5, and I got 10 more showing up tomorrow. So I'm enjoying one of those during the show today. The problem with this is I smoke them too quick. They're delicious.
I think you mentioned that one on the first episode about running low on that. It probably didn't hurt that Danny was watching the show and there just happens to be 10 more coming to your house.
It definitely pays off that one of our viewers and fans is a supporter of my smoking. So that definitely helps to have him. But they're excellent, and I really enjoy them, and they're few and far between. So I try to enjoy them on special occasions. I thought today would be fitting. I just flipped my duck over, by the way, too. My grill here is down to about 400 degrees, so I'm trying to get to about 350 to 400 in that zone to let it roast. So now my duck's just roasting, and if you go to the grill cam real quick, you can see how my pickle's coming along.
Oh, nice. Hey, I've got a fowl tip instead of a steak tip. I've got a fowl tip.
Fowl tip, okay, all right.
Well, if you're a fan of fried pickles, which a lot of people are, brine your chicken in pickle juice, in dill pickle juice. Brine it for at least 12 hours, bread it, and fry it, and it tastes like fried pickled chicken.
Here's why I'm laughing. I actually love that tip, but it just started out like the Home Shopping Network. You know, it's like, hey, if you're a fan of pickles like I am, like, hey, Brian, do you like pickles? Why, yes, man, I love pickles.
You should have had your... You like reading books? Oh.
I thought you'd never ask.
I don't know what to do with all this leftover pickle juice, Brian. Oh.
I had chili 3 ways this week, and that's a fancy way of saying I had leftover chili 3 times this week from last week's show.
You know what?
So did you eat all of that? Did you eat all of the dish you made last week?
Oh, yeah. All week.
Me too.
It lasted all week.
Me too. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I ate it all week, and it was excellent.
Yeah. You know what? Tracy will not participate, but I do chili omelets after I had chili.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and you throw like 3 or 4 or 20 spoonfuls of chili inside an egg omelet, and I mean, I like it, but I mean, everybody else thinks I'm crazy, at least in my household, but you know, it is what it is.
My favorite meme from the week online this week came from omelets. My favorite meme was, does anyone know how much vodka goes into an omelet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my favorite
after
of the week.
This prison sentence.
I think my favorite Facebook scenario was actually what started yesterday. Is I last night I did a couple ribeyes on salt block, and I just posted a picture of. Actually, I hadn't even done the ribeyes on the grill yet. I posted a picture of the little temp gauge that was over 700. So what I did last week is, because I cook everything on the pellet grill, but I have a vent that can open up straight to the flame. So I opened it up straight to the flame to see how much hotter I could get the salt block. And I want to say at the end of the day, it was probably almost 150 degrees hotter than when I normally get the salt block.
Wow.
Maybe almost 200. So I had taken a picture of that at the time. It was just cresting 700. It actually had topped out about 780, I think, at the most, at the one part of the block. But it's funny how the entire Facebook post turned into a sous vide war on whether sous vide was okay to use or not use. And I'm not going to mention any names; it's not important. But it was absolutely crazy, and so it's just interesting the people that are really on are anti-sous vide. And the one thing I'll say is that, you can be anti-sous vide and you can say, hey, I get more flavor from charcoal and stuff like that, which you can still get, by the way, if you sear on there. But a lot, if you've been around the block into a lot of really good steakhouses, or you've enjoyed really good steaks at a lot of different steak places, particularly high-end hotels and everything else like that, you've been eating sous vide steak and you just didn't know it.
Yep.
The thing that's surprising to me is I get into it on the sous vide stuff mainly for just my own pure entertainment. I've said I'm publicly a proponent of sous videing. I think it's great. I think it's an excellent technique. It has its place. I had a long discussion with our friend Chef Cole, this last week about it. And, there's certain times and there's places for it. And, I don't necessarily say everything. There are ways to absorb more flavors, with a slow cook process with charcoal. But sous vide is excellent. It's got its place. It's definitely a tool, a technique. I just love how heated people actually get about it. When I joke with Brian, it's like, oh man, he's boiling it back. I mean, I said to someone last night, sorry man, you're right. No, I grilled this one up. This isn't Taco Bell. And then like your Facebook page went nuts. It was like, I've never seen people more passionate about it. I was like, wait a minute. As an amateur chef, I love all different types of cooking techniques. But there's people that are like, oh, this is garbage, this is that. And I was like, wow. By the way, I was just happy they weren't bitching about my food and they were complaining about a stupid cooking technique. That was good. I'm glad we've moved on from my insensitivity to what cooking technique is better to eat a steak with. So we're progressing.
Well, I think that's the whole thing. I mean, it is a tool. Sometimes sous vide works really good depending on what you're trying to cook, and sometimes it doesn't. But I don't think it's the end all. I don't think you sous vide everything, and I don't think you ignore it just because you don't like the idea of it. There are some things I really, really love about sous vide, and there's some things that I absolutely do not like about sous vide on there. And now everybody's blowing up the board on here on sous vide stuff. Yeah. Scott's asking about if anybody has a
Let's talk about something safer like politics.
Traeger pellet grill. I do not have a Traeger pellet grill. I have a Pit Boss, which I love. My nephew has a Traeger. There's nothing wrong against Traegers. They're a little bit spendier. I specifically was trying to seek out a pellet grill that would also allow me to cook over the open flame. So typically, if you're not familiar with a pellet smoker, there's an auger underneath that pushes pellets in there, and there's a chamber that has flame in it. And what I wanted the diffuser. You have the grates, and then underneath the grates you have a diffuser, and that's usually solid. What I wanted was something where the diffuser could open up and I could cook straight up over the flame if I wanted. So the one I found is the Pit Boss called the Austin XL, which is a very large one, but it has the ability to open it up and cook over flame as well, which I like. But I haven't heard a bad thing about Traeger, only that they're a little bit more expensive. It's the same thing like saying a green egg is kind of the big deal in the whole ceramic world, but there's a brand. Brian, do you know the brand that's the knockoff green egg, essentially? It's like half the price. Is that
Acorn.
it? Acorn?
That's it.
Okay.
Mine's porcelain instead of ceramic, and that's why it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But it still retains the heat.
Yeah, still retains the heat, still real good. So Cole said sous vide's like a tool, like charcoal, oak chips, salt, and pepper. Absolutely, Cole. Matt says sous vide will set you free. I don't know. That's a bold statement, Cotton. But it is good. Look, there are some. I'll tell you what. If you're not good at cooking fish, like if you don't eat fish at home, because my wife and I are the exact same way. I hate overcooked fish. I will say sous videing fish, you can't screw it up. You can actually just put it in a program, put the temperature in, you can actually have that really good stuff at home.
So I'll tell you, one of the main reasons... go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, the thing with sous vide is whether you're a master chef or you're a beginning cook, it's a convenience, and it's the best way to absolutely guarantee you don't over or undercook what you're trying to cook. And
I 100% agree.
Right.
It's a great... And by the way, it's a great way when you're an advanced cook as well, or an advanced chef, to do all sorts of things that you never dreamed of doing. There's a lot of great things that can be done with it. The reason I dislike sous vide and why I prefer to do the things the way I do is because for me, I'm not cooking I'm not cooking crazy dishes. When I cook, most of the stuff I'm cooking here, I enjoy the process of flipping a duck over. I enjoy the process of flipping the steak. I enjoy having a glass of wine while I'm doing it. I really enjoy the process. And can you get a more consistent product more often by cooking a steak sous vide? Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. It's fail-proof. But for me, what that does, it takes away the process. Like, I wouldn't really enjoy sitting there for 2 hours watching a steak and having a glass of wine as it sits in a bag in a pool of water. You know what I mean? It's set it and forget it, which is great. I really enjoy lifting this up and watching the ducks smoke in here. I'm actually smoking right now, Brian. You'll like this.
Yeah.
I enjoy this process, so that's why I don't personally use it regularly, because I like the process. However, I really respect it and I do use it, and I think it is a great way to get things going. By the way, I'm reducing some white wine and butter. I'm using a local butter here from Maine called Kate's Creamery. I'm reducing some white wine, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this duck liver in. Once this reduces a little bit more, I'm going to put that duck liver in, and we're going to start putting this toast together. I put the toast on the grill already, so the toast is already done. I put Kate's Creamery butter on it as well. So I put it right on the charcoal. So we got charcoal, the pumpernickel rye bread. Just waiting for that to reduce, and we're going to put the liver, and then I'm going to plate that appetizer. Duck, I'm going to take the temp on the duck in about maybe 10 minutes.
I just dropped the buffalo bird, so it's doing its thing right now too.
So tell me about the buffalo bird. What did you do for prepping that?
So with the the buttermilk, I put garlic powder, sriracha to give it some heat, a little bit of pickle juice, and the buttermilk, and then I let it sit overnight. And then the flour, when I went to bread it, I put cornstarch and those little packets that you buy to make your own buffalo sauce with, the dry packets. Mm-hmm. Put one ranch packet and 2 buffalo packets in with the flour. So before, I don't know if it came through in the camera, but before I dropped it, the flouring, it all looked orange, like a buffalo, wing or something like that. Mm-hmm. So when it's done, it's going to eat like buffalo chicken.
By the way, Fred, we missed one of our sponsors. Our friends at Crown Heads, McGee's Smoked Meats. Crown Heads Cigars, a huge supporter of the show. Thank you for always sharing and tuning in with us. All the gentlemen, all the ladies at Crown Heads, thank you very much for that. And thank you for supporting Quarantine Grilling. I will eventually get close to a store that has Crown Heads, and I will smoke Crown Heads on the show sometime soon. But thank you for the support there, and thank you for supporting what Brian's been doing and what I've been doing with the grilling and cooking over the last 6 to 8 months, if not longer. They've been supporting that side of it, and now that we've got the show, right. Thank you for the extra support there. So Crown Heads, enjoy them if you get the opportunity to.
And by the way, we did not forget them. I had them at 5:40 to bring up, but hey, that's okay. You just do your thing, buddy.
Hey, I must have missed the show notes in my email.
Oh, there's no show notes. I'm making this up as I go along. I do have like a piece of paper here with notes on it, like to pretend I know what I'm doing. But then I realized after like the first 5 minutes, I'd gone through most of it. So that's okay.
So I actually have a question for the chat box. Anyone that's in the chat box watching right now, I have the duck liver, and I don't know if these are the duck testicles or not. I have the duck liver. What do people think this item is? The other 2 things that were in there, it's a pair of 2. Are those the duck's testicles, or are they something different? I'd like to know, because I haven't picked anything else prepared for that. But I think what I might do is throw it on the grill and try it and put some salt and pepper on it and see what it tastes like. But if anybody could give me some feedback about
isn't it like gizzards or whatever? I mean, what isn't that?
Yeah. Yeah, I got its liver and I got its little gizzards, but I'm just curious of what people think it might be called besides gizzards. Is it testicles? What's going on here? Because when I did this with rabbit liver, I ate the rabbit testicles and they were delicious.
I don't think those are testicles.
I'm just throwing on. Find out. I'll hit it with some truffle salt, a little olive oil. We'll grill this sucker. Find out how it tastes. I didn't even need prosciutto. Had this all along.
Cole actually just said what I was going to say. Kidneys.
All right, Fred, I'm going to go grab the surprise. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, he's pulling out all this. This better be a good surprise.
Yeah. I think McGee figured out that you can DoorDash Cheesecake Factory this week, so maybe that's what he's bringing out.
If somebody on the show does a grilled cheesecake, I'm in.
Can we grill it? I guess we could grill anything, but why?
All right, why not? So I got the toast done. I got some truffle salt. I said I'm using big truffle salt today. It's the flavors I want. I've been on a big truffle salt kick lately. Anyway, everybody's noticed I've been using it recently. But I'm gonna throw that liver in here. I've got this reduced down, so it's a nice little. It's kind of like a little paste going on in here with the butter and whatnot. So anyway, the liver's going on cast iron.
What is Brian doing here? Brian is dropping some. We're going to just a solo Brian cam now. And I gotta lose the graphics. He made like a sauce to put on. He's trying to get his garnishing game up. He made glue.
This is homemade blue cheese dressing.
Oh boy.
Homemade.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Since I'm doing buffalo chicken, you gotta have blue cheese.
That's a pretty big move. I don't have any tricks up my sleeve today.
The jokes will be that I should know how to make salad dressing, but.
Wow, that's a pretty good one.
Sour cream, mayonnaise, lime juice, and blue cheese crumbles all mixed together.
Jonathan, did you make a dressing to go with your duck? Other than
I haven't made the sauce. The sauce is after I plate the liver, the foie gras toast. I'm going to make the l'orange sauce, and then after that we'll be basting the duck, which is moving along pretty well. About ready to take the temperature gauge on that. So I'm cooking this liver up right now. The wind's crazy out here. I don't know if people can hear it. The wind keeps blowing my burner out on the side.
What temp are you trying to get the duck?
I'm gonna probably pull it. I'm gonna probably pull it at 145 to let it go up to about 150, 155, 160 at the most. At the most, that's the highest I do want it. If I was doing just a regular duck breast and not the whole duck, I'd probably cook that about medium rare. But I'm going for like medium well on this one today. As I said, I want it to be rich with that sauce, and but I'm gonna cook it a little bit more than I usually would today. So I'm gonna go probably medium well. So yeah, about 145, 150 is when I'm gonna yank it. But it's pretty cool in here now. Like the temperature's dropped down from about 500 to about 350. So I shouldn't have too much struggle controlling the temperature. Let's give it a temperature check right now, see where it's at when that liver's cooking. Oh, the kidneys. We got the kidneys going on here.
Getting close.
So the secret weapon is the blue cheese dressing today.
Well, that was an added bonus. I mean, I don't know. His secret weapon may just be that he's really cooking really good.
So we're at 100. We're about 115 degrees right now. So we're in good shape. It's about where I expected. So I'm gonna flip this liver. Now this isn't truly foie gras because it hasn't been raised in that way that they essentially force feed the duck. Sounds awful, but they feed them a really high fat diet. And in the old ways they used to prepare it, it was like a force fed, but they've kind of changed the way. It's a little more ethical now. The ducks get to somewhat eat what they want, but it is a high fat diet. But this one's not as much as that because this was a farm raised duck from a purveyor in Pennsylvania who does business out of Long Island. So this the liver won't be as fatty. It won't be as spreadable, like foie gras is generally like butter. It won't be as spreadable as that, but it still will be a little bit. So we got that going on, and that's just about done. So I'm about to put that on the toast, and then we'll put the pickling sauce on top, and then we'll garnish it. I'm going to garnish it with a little balsamic vinegar glaze that I got here, a little balsamic glaze, and then top it with the pickling, and then we'll give it a taste.
Matt says you need a instant read thermometer, Carney.
So I think we could have a debate on instant read thermometers the same we could on Sous Vide. I use this thermometer I've got because these are the ones my dad used to use at his restaurant. I just use these little blue ones.
Yeah.
So I really like it. It brings me reminiscent of him when he was cooking and doing things at the restaurant. So that's why I use that thermometer. That's specifically the same exact ones that we used to buy from our restaurant supply company, who's not a sponsor, but we'll give them some free advertising. It's RM Flag in Bangor, Maine. So these both came from there. There's a little knife sharpener and that, but this is where we used to buy things at our restaurants. So that's why I use that stuff. But I love instant read thermometers, and I do probably have to get one eventually. But right now I use that because that's just reminiscent of my past.
Well, it's kind of hard for us to counter on an instant read when you say, "Well, I'm using the ones my dad used." I mean, it's kind of
Yeah, thanks, Matt. There you go. How about you leave the opinions
Matt.
to yourself?
Now we don't get to say anything about it, Brian's got his gloves on. Are you pulling the chicken, Brian?
I'm going to tip it and see where it's at.
So I got a good spread of its liver. This was excellent. Spread out real well. So I'm just spreading it around the toast because I'm going to put the pickling on the pickled shallots on top. All right. I'll cut this toast up and then plate it here. And I'm plating on this brand new wood butcher block I got here. I can't remember the exact wood that's in this one. I should have remembered that, but we're going to plate on that new block today.
Gene says more cowbell. I don't need. I have a triangle. That's all I can do is triangle.
And then I'm going to drizzle a little olive oil over the top for flavor and appearance. I made an extra piece of toast because I love pumpernickel bread. It's my favorite bread. So a little bit of truffle salt over the top.
If I get next day delivery from you guys, I should. I can only go every couple weeks without cooking at the same time. Okay, we're gonna go to Brian's picture now because the rest of us don't mean anything. That's that chicken. That's the buffalo chicken.
That's the buffalo chicken.
Hold it up a little higher. Bring it a little higher to get above the band. There we go. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Look at that.
That's gorgeous.
Wow.
That's really good looking, Brian.
I'm gonna let this sit a little bit.
So what did it temp at? What did it temp at when you pulled it?
165.
165. Okay. All right.
And I got 5 minutes on this one.
All right, so my first dish is done. We're going to get on to the l'orange sauce. But here on the grill cam, if you can see it, is the foie gras toast.
There we go. Looks good. Very nice looking block, by the way. Where could I get one?
The wood are beautiful. Woodbutcher.com. And then our sponsor has provided those to us. You just haven't received it yet.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it then.
This is actually really, really freaking delicious. Came out a lot better than I thought it was going to be. You know why I liked it? The foie gras, the liver, was actually very rich. It was very fatty. It was much fattier than I thought it was going to be. So it spread over the whole toast, gave it really good coverage. Anyway, that came out delicious. Really happy with that one.
Hey, William Cooper said, I can't grill a lick, but this show is awesome. Stand by, Mr. Cooper, because we might have just a way for you to cook along with the chefs at some point. We were talking about that last week. So our goal is to not just show you the stuff. Our goal is to actually teach it to you a little bit. So stand by on that for sure.
So I'm on to the l'orange sauce now, which is going to be white wine and orange juice at first. It's going to reduce down a little bit, and then I'm going to add shallots, garlic. I'm going to use some brown sugar and white sugar blend, and then we're going to use some butter, and then we're going to put a little bit of flour in there, truffle salt, and then some orange zest on it. So I'm going to start that sauce now, as I said, with the orange juice and the white wine. By the way, out of the wines that I'm drinking, there's some fruitier ones here. So the Wood Duck Winery is very delicious. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's kind of dry. It does have sweetness to it because it's a berry wine with cranberries and blueberries. Shockingly, it was shockingly delicious. It was really good. That was great too. One of the reasons I picked some of these fruitier wines for today are because I'm doing really rich dishes. Like this foie gras toast is salty. Naturally, it's got a lot of fat in it. So I thought the fruity beverages or a more fruit-forward wine would be a better contrast in comparison to it. Brian, I wish you could try this toast here.
Oh, man. Look at this. The skin on this. Tell me where I need to go with it.
Hold on one second. Just raise it up a little bit higher. There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty healthy. It's delicious.
Wow, that looks really good.
Oh, juicy as hell.
So I know we have a top list for this, but one thing I forgot to put on there. Chicken wings and buffalo anything with blue cheese is one of my favorite things on the planet. There's just something so simple and enjoyable about it, and the way that it hits kind of your endorphins with the heat. It's just anything buffalo for me is always a home run.
I'm not a blue cheese fan at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
All those points?
No, you get points for actually creating a dressing from scratch, because that's not something I do unless it's an oil vinegar or something, or sometimes something like for a corned beef sandwich. But basically, I've just blue cheese has just never been my thing. Never been my thing. So hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and go to the top 5 before we forget. So the question that we were all put with this week was the top 5 things, chicken dishes, our top 5 chicken dishes. So there was some overlap, but not as much as I would have thought. Actually, McGee and Carney hit a couple, and then we had some there. But McGee came in with top 5 chicken dishes, and I don't know what for you guys, it was actually tough for me to narrow it down to 5 as I started going down there, because chicken's just like one of those things. There's so many different things, but chicken to me, just chicken by itself, is not terribly exciting. So the dishes became important. So McGee came in with fried chicken, which is a classic, and he's actually demoing tonight. Chicken Parmesan, beer can chicken, which is another one he's doing tonight. Lemon pepper chicken, and enchiladas. And I didn't think of enchiladas, but that's a good call there. Carney came in with barbecue chicken, chicken parm, sweet and sour chicken, fried chicken, and lemon pepper. So we had some overlap there. I came in with chicken cordon bleu, chicken marsala, chicken tenders. I just like straight up chicken tenders. Matter of fact, I made some today for lunch. Chicken parm and makhani, which is butter chicken, which is kind of an Indian type thing. So pretty good diversity there. All of us had chicken parm. I don't know how you don't have chicken parm. Fried chicken just barely missed my list, but I also threw chicken tenders on there, so that would have been pretty close.
What is this? So pretty good diversity there. All of us had
Who's playing our show in the background?
Fried chicken barely missed my list, but I also threw chicken tenders on there. I think it's
Is Carney like watching our own show now, or what?
I was forcing my dad to try my my toast, and I don't think he liked it. I think he spit it out. Apparently, that's really comforting to know.
Hey, Danny,
I think it's good.
Danny wins the show.
Apparently, I made a bad
Danny
dish.
hates blue cheese too, so Danny wins the show today. No, I'm just kidding. I can't. I have to award it to one of you guys. But if I did go to a guest, Danny would win. William Cooper wants to know if McNuggets count.
So the hardest thing I had with the list, Fred, was when I started making my 5, all 5 of them were fried. So I was like, wait a minute, I had to break this down. Like, there's so many different ways I like chicken, and fried is obviously one of my favorites.
All right, so we leave it to the group that's commenting. Who has the best top 5 chicken dish list there? Is it McGee, Carney, or myself? I'm going to leave it up for just another second. Take a look at those lists. If you're forced to only have 5, say for the rest of your life, which of those lists are you going to choose to award this week's winner of the top 5 challenge, which means absolutely nothing. I guess, but we should bet like cigars on it or something like that on the side. Yeah. And then I will skew the comments and make sure that I always win. But hey, that's how it goes. I'd like to say, by the way, we're 55 minutes into it, and we have not crashed the show yet. And I should have said that because now, of course, the show.
Now it's gonna.
Yeah, now it's gonna happen. But so far, I think we've gone through here. The votes are coming in for my list, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Scott's got Carney, Cole's got me, William's got me, Danny's got John. Now we're getting split. But Cole's on my side, so that's actually probably worth 2.5 people right there because we already know he's got some pretty good taste. If Scott comes in on my side, then that's pretty much going to seal it as far as the foodies go. Let's see how. All right, we're back live here. And you guys are on camera. There we go. Hey.
All right.
So I just tried the duck.
Oh, look at that.
Duck kidney.
Hold on. Jonathan, this isn't about you. This is about Brian right now. Look at this chicken.
Come look at this beer can chicken.
That does look good.
Man. This buffalo chicken's amazing.
Well, Gene voted for you, Jonathan, but that doesn't count. Matt says, even though I'm missing fried chicken, he gets my vote. Yeah, that was a tough one. I kind of snuck that in, Matt, with the chicken tenders, though, because chicken tenders are kind of fried chicken if you do it the way I would think you would want to do it. But
that's what I'm saying. How hard was it not to just I named like 6 dishes before I got down to 5, and I was like, wait a minute, these are all fried chicken.
Yeah.
They're just produced in different ways.
Yeah. Brian's hacking up his chicken with a machete there, which is that is your favorite knife, isn't it?
That's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm adding the butter now to the l'orange sauce. A good amount of it. I want it real rich. So the butter's gone in. Once that melts down a little bit, the juice and the wine have reduced down a little. Once that reduces a little bit more, we'll throw just a little bit of garlic, not a whole lot. I want this to be sweet, not garlicky. And then we'll put a little bit of brown sugar in at the same time. And then the truffle salt with the shallots. Then I'll stir it up a little, and we'll figure out what the texture is going to be, and then we'll add flour as needed to kind of thicken it. And then before I put the shallots and things, and I am going to taste the sauce. It's important to taste this stuff before you add the next ingredient, so you know how much to put in. It's really about taste. So when people are like, how much of this should I put in? It's really about taste. It's about what your taste is, or balance of the flavor, who you're cooking it for.
Brian's getting everything pretty well cut up there. You're close to plating, right, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, my duck. I temped the duck and it was at $1.40, and then I'm going to open up the top because the heat's starting to come back. I'm throwing the shallots in now. The main reason I'm adding the brown, I like dark brown sugar. It's thicker. It's got good color to it. When you put it in, you break it down. Any type of a liquid. As suspected with the white wine and the orange juice, the dish is a little tart before I put that stuff in. So the sugar is going to take some of that tartness away and really kind of balance the flavor out and give it the sweetness I want for the outside of the duck. And I did use some fresh squeezed oranges too, as well as fresh orange juice. But we've got fresh squeezed oranges here that I'm putting a little bit over the top. And then my final phase, I'm going to start working on some of the garnish right now. I'm going to grill up a couple oranges. And then I also got these pea shoots that I'm going to quickly hit with some quick heat, and I'm going to rest it. The duck's going to sit on a bed of pea shoots to give it a little color and a little greenery, as well as something you can eat. But I'm just going to hit that with a little olive oil, a little salt, a little pepper, a little lemon juice really quick just to bring some of the green out. So it's just going to be a little bit of, take very little heat.
Brian, I noticed you're sampling over there. So the one thing I could say, if I was hungry, I think I'd want to be at Brian's house because he's eating a lot sooner than anybody else is over the Carney household. But also, Brian, was there a little bit of heat? Because it looked like you took a little bite there that you made a little bit more heat than you planned on that chicken?
It's just still hot. It's still, temperature-wise, it's still hot.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's fair.
But it's
fair.
perfect. It is perfect.
That duck, though, does look pretty amazing on the grill cam there. I mean, it is definitely... I'm going to get a close-up on that. If you can see the charness on the duck. It looks like you've got, the orange slices on there as well, right behind the duck?
Yeah, got the orange slices on there behind the duck. The duck's just sitting there. It's just about temp. It says about 145, so it's still on heat, but I got the top open, which with charcoal is going to create some more heat, but right now it stopped the roasting process, so it's almost kind of resting. And it's on the side of the grill that's not fully, the charcoal on the right-hand side that's facing closest to the camera is not ignited. So it's the dull side of it. So it's still heating and resting over there a little bit. I'm going to flip it over on its bottom just so we can start treating it to some sauce here shortly. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in my sauce, very little, not a lot. I said I want this sauce to be sweet, so not a ton of salt to it. And my sugar's breaking down a little bit in there. I'm going to put just a little bit more orange juice. I got butter in the sauce, which is nice. So we got a little more OJ. And that sauce is going to thicken up. We're probably about 5 minutes away from a full plating here.
Well, if you can see that, Fred, but there's juice running out of that breast. I mean, it is amazing.
Well, that does bring up Matt's question we have right now: is where are each of you on breast versus thigh debate? So how
thigh all the way.
Carney?
I'm a huge thigh guy. Yep. When it comes to chicken, it's thighs all the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. When you start talking about flavor, it's like, particularly if you're in a household with somebody that's trying to eat healthier, and they're just like, and it's a recipe that you clearly know should have the thighs. And like, let's do chicken breast in this. I'm like, oh, because you just know you sucked out some of the flavor out of the whole scenario. There are just some dishes. There's some dishes you can definitely get away with the breast as far as some of the tenderness in it. Depending how you cook at it. Chicken tenders, things like that. Certainly some sandwiches lend themselves really well to a breast depending on what you're putting with it. But if you start talking about, sauces like a chicken adobo or something like that, man, you've got to go with the thighs. I mean, that's just where the flavor is. That's where the dark meat is.
Hey, Carney, what temperature are you trying to get that duck to? What's a preferred temp range for duck?
For me, there's a lot of people that cook up to 165 because they want to kill everything. Duck's a meat that you can eat medium rare. You don't have to eat it well done. I prefer my duck medium. So I think I got it to 145. It's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of heat. So I was up to 145. I'm actually going to pull it off now. So I'll give you the final temperature. But my goal was to keep it below 150, and then it would raise up on the inside.
Yes.
So to reuse some stuff here, I'm actually reusing some of the stuff I had. The pickling liquid I used. I'm actually using some of the pickling liquid on my sprouts, the little shoots that I got. So that's on the grill right now. Just a little salt in there. So those shoots are going to take some heat. I've got the duck resting off to the side here. The only thing I didn't do that I wanted to during the cooking of this was I wanted to baste the duck with the l'orange sauce. But I kind of held off on the time frame of that sauce because I started eating that foie gras toast that I made. So I didn't get the sauce started as early as I would have wanted. So normally I would suggest basting it with the sauce as you make it. But we'll be in pretty good shape. The consistency of it's good, and there's going to be plenty of sauce left over to dump it in.
Yeah, what's interesting on the conversation, I know I asked you earlier, and Brian asked you again about the duck thing. So of all the foods, basically, when we're talking about grilling and cooking and things like that, of all of them, the one that is probably has the most discrepancy as far as what temp should it be is actually the duck. So USDA is like 170, 165 is what most people will tell you to do, but then everybody else is like, hey, you can go all the way down to 135 if you want the medium rare. But that one has a very, very broad spectrum of what people think it needs to be cooked. Like I said, USDA basically says I think it's 175 or 180 for the breast. It's very similar to cooking pork. We talked about this on a previous show. I mean, pork coming out at a much lower temperature is amazing. But we have so many people, particularly when your kids and family members cooking them, overcooking them, and you don't think you like pork. But when you have had pork cooked to medium rare or even medium, much better.
I definitely like my pork medium. I like it about 140, so I guess that's medium. Yeah.
It's a little easier to see that in a red meat or in a white meat like that. But when you start seeing like pink and stuff and like chicken and stuff like that, that's you really want to get past that phase. Even if it's okay to eat, you really shouldn't be past. You should be past that phase anyway.
So I'm just clearing some space here on my left side of the grill where the propane side's at. When I don't use both sides of the grill, I use one side as a staging area. So I'm just clearing up my staging area here where I had my mise en place. You can hear me throwing stuff around.
Yeah, who cleans that up? Who's going to come clean that when you're done?
I've got people for that, Fred. No, I cleaned it all up. I slowly take my time, and if you've been on the after lounge with us, you see that I do clean up. One thing I've neglected here in my cooking process is my cigar's gone somewhere, so that's gone. But I am plating the duck. I have the grill open, so people are going to be able to see some of this from the grill cam. Hopefully, what I got going on here.
I've seen in the
I've got my wood butcher block.
In the after show, I've seen you more cooking like an entirely another steak or something because you get hungry halfway through the after show. I don't remember a lot of cleanup, but okay, man, whatever makes you feel better.
Hey, it's all about continuing the educational process.
That's right.
Even in the after show. So I did grill up some lemons here too, just for garnish. I've got some more little edible flowers from Hannaford this week. I had a Hannaford connection at my grocery store. They didn't know what the price of the flowers were, so they kept giving them to me for free. They have now figured out that they are supposed to have a price. So this will be the last show that I have the edible flowers because they'll be no longer free. All right. And what completes a duck more than some cherries? So I have some maraschino cherries here too. So I'll add some maraschino cherries to that.
Of course he has maraschino cherries. I mean, who wouldn't? Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, of course you do.
That's my secret weapon. I got a little set of tongs. Set it up. And then we're going to put the l'orange sauce over the top here.
I think I'm going to cut 5 and put this buffalo chicken in the top 5.
Ah, okay, all right.
This is
when you said you were doing buffalo chicken and we did the top 5 list and we started talking about it today, and then you pulled out the homemade blue cheese. I'm sitting there. I'm like, how did I not put buffalo chicken on my top 5? I eat it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. I kind of some of these things. It's very easy to overthink your top of anything, right? All right, so I like the consistency of the sauce. It's not super thick. I'm not even going to add any flour. And the last thing I'm going to add to the top of this is a little orange zest.
I can't compete with maraschino cherries.
And then we'll throw a couple edible flowers on there. We'll take a picture for the gram using my 5th favorite tool of the kitchen.
By the way, I sharpened a fork or a spoon, so if we do the challenge with that, we've got a spoon ready to go.
I was worried that he was going to challenge us today and be like, okay, today, so all you can use is a knife. And I'm like, crap, I'm in trouble.
Nope, not yet.
So
not yet.
So here's a picture of the duck l'orange. You can see I got a nice char on it. It's not burnt. For people that are curious that it's burnt, this is skin. It's just charred. It's delicious. I'm going to take a picture with my phone here so we can post it up later.
Pretty much we're just getting a picture of a selfie of you, but okay.
Now you're getting the selfie.
Some extremely hot Shinerbach. Man, that can is still hot. Ouch.
So I'm going to cut into this and we'll see how it came out.
Cole made a good point. He says no one had wings on the on our list. Nobody had wings. That's crazy. I think we did overthink it a little bit because I'm like, wow, how could you not have wings?
Right.
Oh, jeez, camera fell. That was a live action shot. Was that your phone?
Yeah, but I think it might have broken too.
That was a live action shot. So at 1 hour and 11 minutes, you can go back and look at the live cam falling down and potentially breaking.
So I do have a shot of the inside here.
Oh, look at that. I'm actually going to get rid of the rest of us and get right into what needs to be seen there. Look at that. Oh, perfect.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, it came out really well. And I said it was the temperature I was looking for when I pulled it off at about 145, 150. I'm happy with the crust. I haven't taken a bite of it yet. I'm a huge duck l'orange fan. It's one of my favorites. So here goes. I'm going to really enjoy this. I got a little sauce on the side. Fantastic. Came out great. Yeah, this is. I don't know. Are you guys duck fans? Because you either are or aren't. There are people that aren't big fans of it.
Yeah.
I am.
I think with duck is it's got to be. If it's not cooked right, then it's not good. But if it's cooked right, it's delicious.
The thing with duck for me is just so rich.
Yeah.
I always joke around people like, oh, what's it like? I go, it's like good chicken. They're like, well, why don't you just eat good chicken? I was like, I could, or I could eat, I could just eat any duck.
Well, it's like it's also I think the dividing line is you have people that don't like dark meat in turkey and don't like dark meat in chicken, then they're probably not going to be gravitating towards duck.
So tonight's a unique night for me because the two items I cooked this evening, I personally are some of my favorites. My family here are not fans of duck. And they also don't like foie gras. So I'm going to get to enjoy most of this all by myself. The big thing with this is I'm going to post a picture of this online of the whole duck. You saw how much heat that took? A bird like this that's high in fat and you put like such a luscious sauce on it, it's not burnt. It's just char. And you see how it's cooked evenly. The flavor of it's great. But what I just pulled out of my mouth is why duck is a great thing to put heat on. It can take a lot of fire like that. It's just a gigantic piece of fat. Duck is tons of fat. It's got tons of juice on it. It's going to create a lot of flare-ups on the grill. And it's going to give you a lot of flavor potential because of that fat content. The flavor potential comes from where that fire is going to come up and create char. So this is, I said, it's got a great char on the outside. It's not gritty. It's not grimy. Duck, highly recommend duck as a dish that can take a lot of heat.
It's like the ribeye of birds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good call.
I'm just going to have to take a master class on how to cut a duck up properly. I've never been good at it. I'm all right. I need to start with a sharper knife, I think, because I'm about ready to just pick this sucker up and eat it off the bone.
Let's save that for
But
the
yeah.
after show.
Yeah.
That's my dish. I'm sticking to it. I'm happy with the duck l'orange. I'm happy how it came out. The char was great. I think the presentation came out excellent. Again, I wish I could spend more time with Brian's dishes. When we start wrapping up, you always wrap up a little bit before me, and I'm right in the middle of my plating. And I always miss some of your stuff, so I go back and watch the show after to see everything that Brian put together, which is fun because it's kind of like watching the show for the first time. Because when you're in the show, you lose track of time and lose track of what the person's doing. And it's fun to look at the different techniques. So I'm looking forward to seeing your dishes, Brian. A huge fan of buffalo chicken, and the beer can chicken is always a personal favorite too. So I think the dishes you made are great. And today was a good combination of different items.
All right, guys, any last thoughts before we sign off here? And if you want to join us in the after room, you can. Any last thoughts?
Well, next week we do have a guest. As of now, it's confirmed. It's Oliver Naveau from United Cigars. He is known in the cigar realm and his non-cigar realm as the cigar jester, as well as the taco man. So next week's May 4th, we'll be celebrating Cinco de Mayo a day early. And I've already pitched a couple different titles and names for next week's show, but they're not finalized yet. I'll give Brian and Fred at least one vote, and I'll give myself 3. So we'll have next week's show celebrating Cinco de Mayo. But with Oliver Naveau, looking forward to bringing a guest back. And I said hopefully the production value was better for everyone today. Moving it over to Fred was excellent. Thank you for that. It was obviously smoother on all ends, so that was a good adjustment from there. But I had a great time. Show was awesome today. It was fun to cook something like this. It was a chance to kind of relax and enjoy. It wasn't super labor intensive, but always preparing it and keeping an eye on things and making sure it doesn't get out of hand is always important when you're grilling or cooking anything. So that's the lesson to take home. But yeah, duck l'orange, delicious. I'm real happy with mine.
Brian, any last thoughts on yours? Other than
I'm
really
happy to see this in the after show. You guys that's what you can watch as me devour this because it's freaking delicious.
Well, I'm going to last in the after lounge about 5 minutes because I need to go cook something. I actually just picked up a prime rib for tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to that. I've been playing around with the air fryer all week because that came as a recommendation, and that's been kind of fun seeing what if anything, I want to air fry, but that's been a lot of fun. I have to award this week's winner. It was very close, but winning by 50 points because of creating homemade blue cheese dressing, despite the fact that I don't like blue cheese dressing. This week's winner goes to Brian McGee. So congratulations on the showdown, Brian McGee.
Thank you. I thought the maraschino cherries were going to put him over the top.
No, you can't buy me off with the cherries. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I think the big thing is this shows how unbiased you are in this selection process because you truly pick something you don't like.
I can't stand
dressing. If you're willing to go that far, I mean, where are you willing not to go?
I know,
right?
And that just lays the groundwork for being biased later, because then I can always bring up hey, I voted for blue cheese, and I got the Trump card now. I got so there we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for cooking, giving us some little tips along the way. We will see everybody next week. We'll get out some information in the week and some stuff what we're going to do. Come a little bit closer on some of these challenges. If there's stuff on the board on Quarantine Grilling on the Facebook page, go there. Let us know what you'd like to see. Let us know stuff you liked, what you didn't like, who you liked, who you didn't like, whatever. We'll change everything. And we'll post on the Quarantine Lounge. Carney will have the after party if you'd like to join us in the Zoom in the after party. So that's it. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week.